Hey, welcome. What I'm doing is I'm sitting down and saying to a group of my friends whom I'm slowly starting to introduce to Jesus, if I could give you a resource and a couple videos to watch, this would be number one. And what we're going to do is we're going to produce a series of videos to say, if you're just giving you a place to start, here's a place to start. I'm Aaron. I'm your friend. I need Jesus, and so do you. So let's start. What we want to do is introduce you to Jesus. In fact, that's the beginning of it all. And the reason this is important is because many of us approach this and we have this idea that we're being asked to go join a church. I don't want you to join a church yet. I don't even want to talk about church yet. Nor do I want to talk about religion and the practices of what it means to be religious. I want to talk to you about a person. I want to talk to you about a person who, in essence, is inviting you to come and check him out. Remember when you were maybe in high school, or maybe you're in high school, and someone's saying to you, hey, so and so likes you. Well, what you did, if you were smart, was you went around and asked other people he knew, is this a good guy or is this a good gal? And who else have they dated? What's their reputation? I promise you, if you didn't know if you didn't do that, but your parents knew that this was happening, they did ask around because they cared for you. The point is that Jesus is inviting you into a relationship with him. And what I'd like you to do is do your homework now. Check him out. First of all, let's ask a couple questions about Jesus that will get you started. Number one, the most important question you should always ask is it true? Is Jesus who he said he was? Did he do what he said he would do? Now, you don't have to have the answer to that right now. And no, by the way, it's okay to have doubts. It's okay to have questions. In fact, I want to invite you to ask questions, to research it, to go online and see what the doubters, the haters, the skeptics all say. You see, this is about a relationship. And in a relationship, there's lots of grace and there's lots of moving towards each other along the way. So I invite you to check out this person who claims to be God, namely Jesus, and says that he loves you so much that he was willing to, if you don't know the story, to ultimately die for you. As a starting place today, I want you to just say, hey, if I'm going to enter into this relationship with Jesus, not today, but eventually, what does he want? What he wants is for you to recognize your need for him. Another way to say it is that you're no good on your own, or independence isn't working well for you, meaning that you can't solve life's problems. You can't fix everything. In fact, you're empty more often than not. And what Jesus is saying to you is, I am the solution to life's problems, and I will be with you always. But like every other relationship, even though Jesus is God, he doesn't force himself to be with us. What I mean by that is that he doesn't say you have to choose me and I'm going to force you to be in a relationship with me. Because he's a God of true love, he says, I'll let you make the decision based on the evidence. And then he invites you to be skeptical. He invites you to research it. He invites you to challenge every bit of truth and see if it withstands the test of reality. I want to start with a part of the Bible reading. Now remember, the Bible's 66 different books, and I want to start with the fourth one that's in the section called the New Testament. It's in the Gospel of John, and the Gospel are 4 books that were written specifically about Jesus' life. The Gospel of John is the 4th one. And if you go back and you read the previous 3 Gospels, you'll notice the Gospel of John has a little bit of differences in it. And what those are attributed to is that it's written a little bit later, and John is saying, you know all the other stories, but let me tell you some stories you don't know from a perspective that you didn't have. And so John's not going to start out with a birth story in a manger. He's going to start out by reminding you how big the God that is asking you to be in a relationship with him really is. Ready? John 1, and the Bible's broken up into chapters and verses. So John 1, verse 1, if you want to download the YouVersion Bible app, we highly recommend that, and you can read with us. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, and this idea of Jesus is the Word. By the way, if you didn't know that, that's the hint. All right. There's so much to unpack here from a historical, Greek philosophical standpoint, but we're just starting off. So let's just take the most important basic point. In the beginning, Jesus existed. That's the Word. The Word was with God. So when God existed in the beginning and before the beginning, Jesus was with God. And the Word was God. So Jesus was God. So right from the beginning, Jesus is introduced by John, the author, as part of the God Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, 3 in 1. Jesus was with God. Jesus was God. Right from the very beginning, there's a claim that Jesus is indeed God. So immediately we have to go, is he who he said he was, or who the disciples believed he was, or not? Now, it says, he was in the beginning with God, and all things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being. Nothing was made without Jesus. What has come into being in him was life, and that life was the light for all people. And so John is reminding us that God was outside of time when he created it. Again, you can't create something and be in it. All right. So he was outside of time when he created it, outside of creation. God existed before creation. God wasn't created. And that he created all life. So in essence, it's introducing God as good, loving, caring. Verse 5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. Let me give you 3 thoughts. Ready? Jesus is therefore bigger than our problems. Jesus isn't trapped in time and space with us. And so when we hit a crisis in life, God goes, oh, I didn't see that coming. I don't know what to do with it. Jesus is outside of our problems as one who's outside of time, already been at the beginning, already been at the end. He loves you. And when the problem hits, Jesus is bigger than your problem. Number 2, there is darkness in our story. Right from the very beginning. It's almost as if Scripture says, I know you're going to have the questions. If there's a good God, how did we get evil? And why does evil work? And why doesn't God destroy all evil? We'll come to some of those later. But right now, I just want you to see that God doesn't ignore evil. In fact, what's God say? He says that while there was darkness, the light of God shined in it, and the darkness could not overcome it. Meaning God is bigger than the darkness. So there's 2 or 3 things we know about Jesus that we have to now verify, are they true? Jesus is God. Jesus created all life, and that light shines in darkness. So from science, you have to ask, how did we get here? Well, God must have created. From a philosophy standpoint or religious standpoint, we have to ask, all right, how do we get a determination of good and bad? Well, there has to be an objective, all right, foundation or rule somewhere along the way. And that has to be God then. And now we come to the Gospel of John and find out that John's saying, yes, the creator of all things and the objective standard of all things is indeed the one that we call Jesus. And so the third thing I would say to you is then you have to stop and go, is this true? You see, the author believes it was true. And the author stood there and watched Jesus be hung on a cross. The author stood there and watched an empty tomb and then saw the resurrected Jesus. See, again, Jesus is inviting you into a relationship. He's not inviting you to church. He's not inviting you to a Bible study. He's not inviting you to a concert. He's not even inviting you to change your ways yet, though that may come. What he's inviting you to do is recognize that he is true. He is who he said he was and did what he said he would do. Key here, the purpose of Jesus isn't to make you feel better. I love C.S. Lewis when he says, if you want something that'll make you feel better, go find a bottle of Jack Daniels. The purpose of following Jesus isn't to make us feel better, but is to what? Right? We follow Jesus because it's true. Because there's nothing else out there. Because God is real, and this is who God has, what? Revealed himself through Jesus Christ. And so our first question that we have to ask and begin to ask when investigating the relationship is this guy for real? My wife started dating me, and I'm not really that great of a guy, but she had some really rough, broken relationships in her past. And she says that when we were dating, she just kept waiting for like this person that I was to kind of like take off my mask and Scooby Doo and go, no, this is who I really am. She goes, you loved my kids. You loved being around me. You put up with my silliness and goofiness. She says, you just were so patient and graceful that I just kept waiting for like somebody to go, oh, there's the real person. This guy can't be that good. Now, again, I want to be clear. I'm not that good. She said, eventually I had to go, I think this is who he is. Based on what? Based on the evidence that I gave her. And I'm fortunate because I still have her fooled, and she wakes up every day and goes, no, you're still this amazing guy. Well, that's what I'm inviting you to do with Jesus. I'm inviting you to investigate him and his character and see if he really is this good, really is who he claimed to be, and can do what he says he has done and will do for you. That's out of the Gospel of John. That's Jesus inviting you. Check me out. Bring your cynicism, bring your skepticism, bring your questions. He'll withstand them all. And he wants to have a relationship with you. I'll see you in a couple days, guys.